What's up, friends? Thanks again for coming back to the channel, checking out my video showcases of some of the programs I've been working on lately. So this one actually wasn't from work, this was for my own learning. I really like C# and I wanted to learn a little bit more about how to use it for like web development and things like that. So I found this course on Udemy. It's by Mosh Hamedami. It is the complete ASP.NET MVC5 course. Now this course was pretty cool because while it is super helpful, it is also a little bit outdated. I think he made this course back in 2016. So at this point, that makes it like, I don't know, what, 6 years old, something like that. And with that being the case, some of the things in here were outdated and did not work initially straight out the gate. However, that gave me a really great opportunity to practice, my favorite skill, which is problem solving. And I had to solve a lot of the problems to figure out how to get all of the same things to work. But in the end, there were no hangups whatsoever. I was able to get every single thing in the course to work exactly as Mosh has it. And then I even added a few things myself. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what this course actually helped me build. It is essentially a video rental website for like a video rental store called Vidly. And Vidly has two databases. You've got your movies database, so it shows you all the different movies and stuff. You'll notice here in the movies database, it's running a little bit slow right now for whatever reason. You'll notice in the movie database though, I'm using data tables to be able to sort all of the names and of course search if I needed to. I've got buttons over here for editing and deleting each one of them. And you'll notice each movie that can get edited. It will pre-populate the form with its name, its release date, the genre, which can be selected from a list, and then of course the number in stock, and then save it and obviously make the changes or whatever as necessary. Oh, I had a breakpoint in here, my bad. I think I was testing the other day. And then I can also make new movies if I need to. So if I make a new movie and it gives me this form, I can fill it all out. Again, the genre is its own separate database of different types of genres that I can select. But then additionally, and customers also, but I don't want to open up customers just for privacy reasons. It does have some names in there that I don't want to necessarily display on the internet. But it works basically the same way, again, using data tables and with an edit and delete option for each one of them and searching and everything else and making new customers. But then also more interestingly, it uses the ASP.NET identity library. Now, initially that library is kind of difficult to implement at first, and I'll show you why in just a second. But if you log in as admin, you have a new option up here at the top. This was not something that Mosh hadn't put in there, but I added it in because I was curious about how to make it work, is roles. And the roles are listed here, and you can create a new role if you need to. This is the ID of the role. This is in the ASP.NET identity table. And then, of course, I named it user, and then I named the other role admin. Of course, admin has different privileges that users do not. Like, for instance, if you log in as admin, I think you can delete things, whereas users cannot delete. So there's that, which is kind of cool. But the reason for the roles, of course, is when you go to register, you'll notice that you have an option for first name, last name, your email address, password, but then down here at the bottom, you can select which role you want to be placed into. So now, obviously, this, for security reasons, this isn't the best setup, but it was more of a proof of concept. I just wanted to see that it could be done, that a connection could be made to the ASP.NET identity library. So let me close this real quick and show you what I'm talking about with that library there. Typically, if you've made an MVC application and you go through the whole process of doing that, I'm not going to do that right now, but when you select the identity for users to be in your application and you open up your Solution Explorer, in the identity pages area, you won't see any of these pages here. Like, you can't find them at all. They're just not there. So you actually have to add those separately yourself. And you do that by going in through I forget what it was. What was it again? It was like, that's what, it was add a scaffolded item, I believe, somewhere in here. There we go. Yep, and then it's select identity, and then you add it, and then it's going to try and add it all in here. Now, it's already added in for me, But for you, if you've just made a brand new MVC project, so model view controller project, and you're not seeing any of these pages in here, then you're going to want to do that. Again, it was the right click on the project name and go to add and then new scaffolded item, and then you should find identity there in that list. And then it will add all of those pages in there. And as you can see, it takes a little bit of time as it tries to like figure it all out and build it all up. And then what you're going to want to do is select override all files, and then down here where it says required, you're going to select your application DB context file, whatever it is, and then just simply hit add, and then it will add all of these different files for you that you can access. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out because I don't need all that stuff. By the way, the identity can be found right here on the left hand side in identity itself. It's the only one to select, so you can't miss it. Okay. And then there you go, you'll have all these files to work with. So then you can modify them and work with them as necessary. Now you can also add your own if you want to as well, but I didn't want to add my own and like start from scratch. I wanted to work with what was already there because in the video, Mosh already has these available to him. So that's how you add those in case you are wondering. So there you go. So this was the Vidly project. And it was a really cool project because it taught me a whole bunch of things about databases, specifically like how to incorporate databases into my project, but also how to move the database around. Right now this is using SQL Server objects, so you can see all of the names right there in this particular table. But this database, actually I have it loaded in its own what's called Vidly DB, and that Vidly DB is actually located within the project folders itself. Now you won't be able to clone it, of course, because I can't upload it through GitHub or when it's actually running or anything like that. But if I open up this F data, there it is. The .mdf is right there. So the database is actually here in the folders themselves. So wherever this application goes, the database goes along with it, which is cool. And the way to change that, of course, is to just simply you can make the new database here by going to database and saying add new database, and you add it, and then in the, actually I'll show you real quick, in the adding dialog here, you can just simply specify where exactly you want that database to be added. Give it a new name right there, and then it'll show up in that folder. And then you need to make sure in your connection string, right down here in, where is it, app settings, there we go. You need to make sure that you change the name of the database, right? So here's, I called it Vidly DB, so I just made sure that database equals Vidly DB. And so it knows exactly where to find it right there in that particular, like in that folder. So there you go. So that was my Vidly project, really cool. And if you get a chance, definitely head on over to Coding with Mosh or Udemy, either one, and get the complete ASP.NET MVC5 course. Super helpful, as I mentioned before. There are some things in there that are a little bit outdated, but overall, they are all things that you can absolutely make work. Oh, I almost forgot. There was some other things too. Some of the stuff that he like implements are things like bootbox and, like I said, data tables and stuff like that. Those, the implementation for those has changed a little bit. Again, it kind of works much the same way. If you right-click on something, or if you right-click on the project and you say add, and you go to client-side library, that's where you're going to find things like bootbox. So if you open up, or if you type in bootbox, there we go, bootbox.js, there you go. And it'll have all the files that you need right there. Likewise, if you do data tables, same thing. It should bring up, yep, there it is, all the data table stuff. And then you hit install, and then it'll install it into your www root folder for you in lib. So there's bootbox, I've also got data tables, and there were a couple of other things that I installed as well for this project, which was really cool. So again, if you're looking for some web development practice and you want to see how the MVC structure works and ASP.NET Core works, this is a great way to learn all that stuff. So definitely check it out. And yeah, thanks for hanging out and listening to my video, and I hope to see you in the next one.